The Greek Revolution wasn't confined to the sculptor's studio. It would become part of daily Greek life. And find expression in a much lowlier, more everyday art form. In fact, it may even have started here with pots. Pots, like all of these vases, drinking cups and storage jars, they weren't really high-status objects in antiquity, unlike sculptures. A simply decorated pot might have cost the equivalent of 2 or 3 days' wages in the 6th century. But the funny thing is that the highly competitive artists who made and decorated these pots may have been in the vanguard of the Greek Revolution, blazing a trail for the sculptors who followed. Since the 7th century BC, there had been a standard way of decorating pots. The scene was painted on in clay that when fired turned black. Then details were cut into it with a sharp instrument. This was known as black figure. It's a style that's bold, linear, graphic. But then, as with bronze, new developments in technique offered exciting possibilities. Around 530 BC, one Athenian vase painter decided to try something different, to become experimental. This is one of his pots, and on one side there's a scene in the straightforward black figure style, showing Ajax and Achilles silhouetted in black against a red background as they're playing dice. But if you turn the pot around, then there's another scene on the other side of it, this time a different moment from mythology, showing Heracles battling a lion. But the technique is entirely new. The artist here has created the figures using the red, and then the background has become black. We don't know for sure what inspired this artist to try out this new technique. It's possible that he just wanted to stand out from his rivals. But a bilingual pot, as this is known, would have been a way of demonstrating that technique for customers. And the new technique would liberate vase painting to new levels of sophistication. With red figure vases, the details of the image are painted on, not scratched on with a metal point. Watching one being made before it's fired, you can see how delicate and expressive the artist can be. This technique gives her a new painterly freedom, particularly when describing the human figure. She's embellished the figures with a fine brush. Now she's filling in the background. That watered-down clay will turn black when fired in a kiln. She adds details, this man's curly ringlets, or slender, curving strokes to suggest the muscles on this warrior's leg. Here it is once it's been fired. It shows Greek warriors slaughtering the citizens of Troy. That's blood on their bodies. But look too at the way that this sleeve falls on this man's arm. It's transparent, almost like gauze. And compared to the flat blocks of black figure painting, the effect is much more realistic, almost three-dimensional. This new freedom of technique allowed artists to expand their subjects. And it's exactly about this time that artists begin to experiment. Not just the old heroic stories from mythology, but now scenes of everyday life. Even scenes of drunken debauchery in honor of the wine god Dionysus. A gathering otherwise known as a symposium. Now, if a symposium to you suggests earnest philosophers debating the point of existence, forget it. A symposium was a male drinking session. Nothing brought out the darker side of the Greek imagination like the symposium. By day, Apollo guided the Greeks, presiding over everything that was orderly and rational. But by night, it was the turn of Dionysus and the irrational. With booze came the promise of sex. And to help get the party going, Greek artists developed a racy new art form: the symposium pot. Symposium pots, they were a real gift for artists because they offered endless creative possibilities for all sorts of ambiguity, role-playing, puns, double meaning, mischief, essentially. But there was a catch. You had to drink to the bottom of the bowl to discover what was painted there. And of course, I've now obscured entirely the painting that's at the bottom of the pot, but I'll give it a go. It does encourage quite big gulps because it's a very wide bowl. And I think there is an important point here. Too often we look at art in a detached way, and it's important to remember that ancient artworks, objects like these, they were made for purpose. They had a function. So to really understand them, arguably, you have to try and use them like this. Maybe that's part of the point of these works of art. They are meant to be a surprise. So you come into the room, you lie down your couch, you're handed one of these bowls, it's full of liquid, and you get down to the bottom. And by the time you have, it's like looking into a mirror. You see a reflection, and what you're looking at is your Dionysiac self, writ large, kind of literally. So here the picture is, the painting at the bottom, a satyr with a large erection, a horse's tail bubbling off to one side, and he has amorous desires, clearly. He's chasing a woman, a Maenad, I guess, a follower of Dionysus, because she's wearing a panther skin and not much else. And she's got this rather large stick, looks like a kind of mop. I think it's known as a thyrsus, which she's using to tickle the satyr. And although she's resisting, it's still a bit of a come-on. So clearly the whole mood evoked by this is that there's going to be a happy ending to the evening.